Jimmy Carter, the 39th President of the United States, passed away last month at the age of 100. As the nation mourns his loss, tributes have poured in from around the world. President Joe Biden described him as an extraordinary leader, statesman, and humanitarian. His grandson shared the song Last of My Kind with lyrics that echo the sentiment of many. Try to find another just like me. You'll be looking for a real long time. Ha ha. This week, Americans gathered in Washington, D.C. to pay their final respects. Inside the Capitol Rotunda, Carter's flag-draped casket lay in state, a solemn honor reserved for the most respected figures in the country's history. Underneath the mural of George Washington, surrounded by military guards, hundreds of mourners passed through to honor a man who dedicated his life to service. Despite freezing temperatures and the aftermath of a massive snowstorm, people from all walks of life braved the cold to say goodbye. Many came from neighboring states, while others traveled thousands of miles. Among them was Sally Mule, who voted for Carter in her first presidential election in 1980. Decades later, she met him briefly while volunteering for Habitat for Humanity in Dallas, Texas. Through tears, she recalled his kindness, saying, "He shook hands with everyone and asked where we were from. It was just amazing." Peggy and Preston White made a promise to honor Carter in person after his passing. They kept that promise by driving over 1,300 miles from Oklahoma City to Washington. Peggy, who grew up in Georgia, admired Carter since his days as governor of her home state. In college, she wrote a paper about his rise to leadership, and during the Iran hostage crisis in 1979, she joined the Navy, inspired by his example of service. Preston, her husband, admired Carter's humility, saying, "He did incredible things, but he still taught Sunday school at a tiny church." The impact of Carter's life extended far beyond his presidency. For many, his humanitarian work defined his legacy. After leaving office, Carter and his wife Rosalind dedicated themselves to helping others. Together, they worked with Habitat for Humanity, building homes for those in need. They also established the Carter Center, an organization that monitored elections, resolved conflicts, and fought diseases worldwide. In 2002, these efforts earned Carter the Nobel Peace Prize. Marshall Rocca, who traveled from New York City to pay his respects, said Carter's post-presidential work inspired him. "If anyone was a saint, it was him," Rocky said, recalling Carter's commitment to eradicating guinea worm disease and his dedication to global peace. Inside the Capitol, Phyllis Sylvester, a Maryland resident, reflected on Carter's integrity and compassion. She was joined by her daughter Lauren, who lives in Washington, D.C. For Lauren, Carter's approach to leadership stood out as a stark contrast to modern politics. "It was always country first, people first," she said, "not about self-interest, but also democratic values, democracy, and spirituality." She said, "Not about hating, not about killing." Reginald Watkins, who took a train from Maryland, described Carter as the epitome of what a Christian should be. He admired Carter's ability to stay true to his beliefs even when faced with challenges. "There was no scandal. He was a great American president, and he was even better after he left office," Watkins said. Carter's humility and decency were consistent throughout his life. Aggie Heller, who attended his inauguration in 1977, vividly remembered seeing him and Rosalind walk hand in hand up Pennsylvania Avenue. Decades later, she returned to Washington to honor him again, signing a condolence book with the words, "Thank you for all the years between." As Carter's casket prepares to leave the Capitol for a state funeral at the National Cathedral and a private ceremony in his hometown of Plains, Georgia, the nation reflects on his legacy. From his early days as a peanut farmer to his time as president and his tireless humanitarian efforts, Jimmy Carter exemplified what it means to lead with compassion, integrity, and love for others.